one of our favorites.
The captain.
Joining us now, former captain of the Minnesota Wild, also with FanDuel TV, Wes Walz. Joins us to analyze Minnesota Wild hockey. Smashed Edmonton, swept the season series. What do you think about what you saw over the weekend against McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard and the crew? Good morning. Love you. And what's on your mind?
Good morning, PA. I love you too, buddy. It's, they played great, obviously, to go up to Edmonton. Although, if you look at the last 5 years, I think Anthony had a chart he showed in the broadcast. The Wild had won 13 of 17 games against the Oilers, so it's not really that surprising. But just the way that they did it, going up there and then laying a beating on the Oilers was very, very impressive. But I don't know that we should be that shocked anymore. I mean, the Wild are one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they're just mopping up teams almost on a regular basis every night. I think they're 6-1-1 in their last 8. And to be perfectly honest with you, PA, the Wild are a better team than the Edmonton Oilers right now, even with McDavid and Draisaitl. The Wild have some high-end players, obviously, with Kaprizov and Boldy and now Hughes. They've got more depth scoring than the Oilers, and the bottom line is the goaltending is just superior. I don't know what Edmonton's going to do going into the playoffs. The way Tristan Jarry looked the other night against the Wild, giving up a bunch of goals. I know Ingram came in a little later, but I don't know how this. We say this every year. Can the Oilers get to the finals again or win a Stanley Cup? And they end up getting there every year. But I don't know how they're going to do that with that type of goaltending. So we'll see how it plays out. But the Wild are they're clicking on all cylinders, PA, and they have pretty much all season long. Captain
Walsey, did you ever play with a defenseman like Quinn Hughes or anything like Quinn Hughes?
That's a good question. Let me think about that. I played with Phil Housley when I played in Calgary in the mid-'90s for a couple years. I would say if there's one player that kind of reminds me a little bit of Quinn Hughes, was probably Phil Housley. I'll never forget training camp one year, and I didn't know Phil at the time. I'm just trying to make the Calgary Flames, and I remember in training camp chasing him down, forechecking, and my plan was to run Phil Housley right through the wall. I had a good angle on him and stuff, and he just kind of what Quinn Hughes is doing. It's just one of those quick little tight turns, and he's out the other side. And I'll never forget, and this was 30 years ago, chasing Phil Housley because I had him in the trolley tracks. And 3 seconds later, PA, I was reading the back of his jersey, chasing him back into the offensive zone. It was something I'll never forget. So if there's one player, I would probably say Phil Housley, but listen, let's be honest. There's only one Quinn Hughes in the National Hockey League. There's one. There's obviously Cale Makar. We all know how good he is offensively. Probably has a more polished 200-foot game than Quinn Hughes. I would say around the net defensively, but offensively, what he's able to do with his footwork and skating, and it's amazing. It's unbelievable to watch, and the fact that Wild fans, PA, get a chance to come into the arena every night and watch that kid play hockey, it's pretty special.
When he runs the point on the power play, what do you like about that? What do you like about Hughes and the puck moving on the power play?
I love that he's a willing shooter, PA, because you can do all the spins and dipsy doodling at the top of the zone, and if you're always looking for the next pass, then you're not really getting a whole lot accomplished. But what I love the most about him on the power play, obviously, I mean, he touches so many different parts of the power play. But the one thing that stood out to me that I didn't really realize before we traded for him, I knew how dynamic he was, obviously, when we traded for him. But the one thing that I didn't know is how willing he is to shoot. I mean, and for me, if you're a willing shooter, it just opens up all the other plays. And it's shocking to me that he's only got 3 goals in the 24 games that he's been here. I mean, we've seen all the assists and points that he's put up, but he could very easily have 7 or 8 goals. And I think he even said it in one of his interviews the other day after he scored. He felt like he could have 7 or 8 or 9 goals. He just gets so many opportunities. So for me, PA, the one area is his ability to and willingness really to shoot the puck and take advantage of Eriksson X and his big body around the front of the net. But he does touch the power plays in so many different ways. I mean, I think since he's been here, PA, the Wild have scored 22 power play goals, and I want to say it feels like 4 or 5 of those goals have been off of the rush where he's been able to spring Eriksson Ek on a breakaway or somebody else on a breakaway. So he touches the Wild power play in so many different areas. And looking back at the power play over the last couple years in the playoffs, when the Wild have been in the playoffs, their power play has let them down. And, we're a long ways from the playoffs right now, but that's the one area that is going to really separate the Wild from other teams as their power play in the playoffs.
It's Walsy. It's Minnesota Wild hockey immortality, 9 to noon.
Oh, my.
Yeah, Wes, you mentioned the willingness to shoot by Quinn Hughes, and whether it is looking back at previous playoff series or just special teams in general, focus on the power play. It does feel, I don't know if it's a mindset or a philosophy or what it is, looking for the perfect pass. And at some point, it's not just me as a rube banging on the glass, screaming shoot at the top of my lungs, but in some respect, that willingness to be aggressive, clearly that has made its impact on a power play unit. Sometimes it looks more artistic than it does functional.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he has the ability to hit seams and try to find, force plays through the middle for sure, but listen, the best power plays, I killed penalties a lot in my career, especially the last 8 years with the Wild there. But the hardest, the most difficult power plays to stop were not the ones where they made 4, 5, 6 passes and they tried to, seam plays and things like that. The hardest power plays to stop were the ones where they just continued. They were just relentless at putting pucks on net and crashing the net and then retrieving the puck and getting it back and 1-2 passes, getting the puck to the net again. It's just like a constant wave as a penalty killer that absolutely wears you out. So for me, that's again, I touched on it earlier with PA's question. It's just his willingness to shoot the puck, and especially with Eriksson Ek in front of the net, that big moose, and then his ability to retrieve pucks is second to none too. So yeah, he's a special player, and we're fortunate to have him.
On the other side of it, you mentioned you killed a lot of penalties in your day, Wes. What have you liked about the PK unit that I believe last 3 games, they're 10 for 10 on the man disadvantage, and that's just been kind of an ebb and flow this year with the penalty kill, but right now things are kind of getting good, at least into the Olympic pause. What are you seeing? What are you liking from that side of things?
Yeah, it's been good of late, and just looking closer at the numbers over the last 3 games, because we're going to talk a little bit about it in the pregame show tonight. But I think that the opponents have averaged almost 3 shots per power play. So it's not like they ain't getting chances, Nardo. Like the other teams are still getting chances. The Wild goaltending's been really good, especially on the penalty kill. I think the save percentage on the penalty kill has been over the last week or so has been right near the top of the league. So if you're getting saves, your penalty kill is going to be good, and it's not really much more confusing than that. Face-offs have still been a bit of an issue for the Minnesota Wild, killing penalties, and that's something that I would love to see get addressed here at the trade deadline. Or I'm not sure what Billy's going to do. I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve, but that would be an area for me. Helping out in the face-off circle on the penalty kill, because in the playoffs, it's just so hard to score 5-on-5 that all the teams can check, and keep the goals against down 5-on-5. In my opinion, a lot of series are won with special teams in the playoffs, and we've seen that over the last couple of years with the Wild on the penalty kill. They have not been great on the penalty kill, especially in the playoffs. So for me, that's one area that if I'm Billy Garrett, I'm looking at very, very closely.
The captain, Wes Walz. Now, Heinze, who joins this Radio Real Estate Weekly, last time we chatted, Heinze and I chatted about an on-the-side talk he had with Tarasenko. Now, Vladdy has given them good offense, right? And he's just super important to this equation, isn't he?
Well, he is, because he can finish. I mean, it's hard to score goals in the National Hockey League. This is a guy that scored 40 goals in the NHL. And he's still pretty young. Like, it's not like I think he's 33, 34 years old. And, he's got all kinds of incentive to score goals and play well if he wants to continue to play. And by all accounts, he sounds like he wants to continue to play. But yeah, his ability to score goals, obviously PA is not going to play on the number one power play unit with all the talent that the Wild are able to possess on that first unit. But you know what? If you get an injury or two, like Boldy was hurt and banged up, and Eck was hurt and banged up here like 2 weeks ago when he went on his run scoring power play goals. Now you've got an insurance policy. You've got someone that can step in as a left-handed player, a guy that scored power play goals in the National Hockey League, a proven commodity that can jump in there and be an insurance policy in case you get some injuries or some guys banged up, or just maybe guys are struggling with their game. So he's been an important piece. Obviously got off to a bit of a slow start, and whatever happened in that conversations with Coach Hines and Tarasenko, his offensive game has really taken off, and it's hard to really put my finger on one part of his game that has really taken off, because I do think that you can see why he's won a couple Stanley Cups, PA, because he's a very well-rounded, honest hockey player. He doesn't cheat on the offensive side of the game. He's very respected. I love how he plays the game because he plays for the team. He doesn't play for himself. But the fact that he's been able to score a few goals here of late has really helped this Wild squad.
All right, let me hit you with this. You mentioned face-offs, and I'm not opposed to asking a really stupid question once in a while. So Nico Sturm on the season, of anybody that regularly is taking a face-off, he's at 55% on the win. So we dig that. And then you look at Jules Eriksson Ek, just a tick under 50. If you're teaching kids at one of your camps, Wes, winning safe face-offs and the values of it, it feels like this has been an age-old talk, or maybe since back when you were playing, Wes, maybe the last time that we were consistently dogs on the face-off. I don't understand why it seems to be such a problem that persists regardless of who's in the circle.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, even those early years with the Wild and when I was playing, we didn't have a great face-off team either back in those early years. I think Mikko, once the Wild got into year 4 or 5, then Mikko started taking a lot of big draws. That's, obviously he played for 15 years or however long he played. He was amazing in the face-off circle, so it was never really an issue. But since Mikko's retired, it has been an issue. It's been an issue, and it feels like all of our face-off guys that we have are left-handed. A lot of our centermen, we've never really had a great face-off guy who's right-handed, and that matters because defensive zone face-offs, you can, if you're a coach, you have an opportunity depending on what side the face-off is on. If Eck or Sturm is always taking the face-off and they're taking it on their weak face-off dot, it would be more ideal to have a right-handed face-off guy. And that's why, a guy like Vincent Trocheck, a guy that's out there, there's been some speculation that he plays for the New York Rangers. He's 32 years old. He's got 4 more years on his deal at like 5.5. He's one of the best face-off guys in the National Hockey League. And he would be a guy that would obviously really intrigue me just because it would give you that righty-lefty combo platter that really, really helps in your own zone when you need key face-offs. Without getting into too much, it's hard on the phone to get into too much detail with that stuff, but it's just we just haven't had a right-handed face-off guy. But obviously Nico Sturm coming in and winning face-offs at a pretty high percentage has helped the penalty kill as well.
Now, Wes came into the NHL with the Boston Bruins. He also was a coach for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those two teams met at Raymond James last night for the Stadium Series. Did you watch? What'd you think? Kind of an unbelievable game.
You know what, P, I gotta be honest. I didn't watch the game last night, but I did, one of my kids come into my life. I've actually been fighting a cold and haven't been feeling very good here the last couple of days. And, but one of the kids did come in and mention to me about the fight, and I did see the fight here this morning. But, for the NHL to have, an incredible game like that was amazing. It's, I sometimes I lose a little bit of interest with the outdoor games every year. It seems like it's a kind of a novelty every year, but People continue to go to the games, and people are spending money. Companies, corporations are spending money. They love it. And to be able to continue to build our game all over the place in Florida, think about it, 39 degrees in Florida, and we're playing outdoor games. It's incredible. So yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I heard all about it. Yeah. And the goaltender Swayman for Boston, he's now aware that Vasilevsky's a lefty.
Right.
He was not aware of that before the fight, but he is now.
So, I mean, Vasilevsky and Swayman, and the way they went at it, and Vasilevsky was going to leave his mask on. Swayman, he gave a signal, like, take off your mask, my man, and he did.
Yeah.
And then Vasilevsky landed that left. But overall, man, I mean, goalie fights don't take place frequently. That wasn't really a fight, was it?
No, that's a pillow fight. That's a pillow fight. That one right there. But I will say, he landed one, PA. He did land one on the side of Swayman's head, one of the four. But it was just amazing to watch. They had one camera angle where the guys were fighting at center ice, and they were panning both benches during the fight in the background. You could see every player was standing up. They weren't watching anything else that was going on around the ice. But watching the goaltender fight, they were right into it. So it's, I read somewhere, I think the NHL has had, I think it's like 2 goalie fights now in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
And, before that, I think they hadn't had a goalie fight in 5 or 6 years. So the fans get into it, and, so do the players whenever the goalies drop the gloves.
All right. So you're on TV tonight with, Montreal and Minnesota?
I am.
All right. Now, when the Canadiens snapped a 19-game losing streak or something like that, the Wild had beaten Montreal 17 of 19 or 19 in a row or something like that. Cole Caulfield with that snipe with about 14, 15 seconds to go. Quite the player, Cole Caulfield. But coming back from Edmonton, where they are now, well, what do you think are some keys to continuing to win games, grab 2, give none? What do they need to do tonight?
Well, for Wild fans that are going to watch on TV and be in the building tonight, I mean, Montreal Canadiens are a must-see television. They're the youngest team in the NHL, and they just fly around. They're young. I think they're third in the Atlantic Division. They play with so much speed. Actually, very similar to the Edmonton Oilers, to be honest with you. They play a little bit reckless, so they do take a lot of chances offensively. They love to score goals. They've got some guys that can finish. I think when we played up in Montreal, PA, we lost, as you mentioned, there 4-3 with that late goal with Caulfield. I think we got outshot 35-20 and outshot 15-2 in the first period. We were not ready for the pace, and I don't know if we were just caught a little bit off guard. So I'm sure the guys remember what happened 2 weeks ago. If not for Wallstead up there in Edmonton, that game could have been out of reach early. I think the Wild were only down 2-1 after the first period, could have been down 3 or 4. So you just got to be ready for the pace when you're playing the Montreal Canadiens. They've got a lot of unbelievable young players, including a defenseman named Lane Hudson, who's like a mirror image of Quinn Hughes. He's a small little guy. Only 5'9", 165 pounds, but he can dance at the blue line at the top of the zone, and he won the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year last year, and he's having himself another amazing season. And so it's going to be an enjoyable game to watch. It's not going to be like the Calgary Flames, who were in town here a couple nights ago, kind of put everybody to sleep. This is going to be a fun one to call, and it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Now, with this team, get 2 points tonight, get another 2 on Wednesday, call it good for the pause. You were talking about just Bill Guerin, what kind of moves he could or would not make now between now and the trade deadline. Where do you look at this team in terms of the franchise that is the Minnesota Wild? Is this maybe the most, just skill for skill, the most talented roster that we've seen? Maybe you think about a team back in your day that would trump it. Where's your head at in terms of, it sounds like there's a piece missing potentially that can push this thing into the playoffs with a little more heft behind it. But in the end, how this roster that was put together, what do you think in terms of kind of its franchise level talent?
I I think you remember a few years ago, Nordo with Kaprizov and Fiala. I think we finished second or third in the league in goals for.
Yeah.
A few years ago, that was pretty dynamic. That was a darn dynamic team.
Yeah, it was.
We had, I think Kevin had Fiala might have had 90 points that year, and him and Kaprizov were amazing. That would be the only team that I, I think that was probably 5 years ago, that I would put in the same category as what we have right now with the Wild. But everything changes with Quinn Hughes, because you've got a guy that plays 30 minutes a game. He's like a general out on the ice, and so whoever is on the ice with him, you're going to get scoring chances. That's how it goes. And I still, obviously, we know that the playoffs are a little ways away, and there's going to be an arms race here in the Central. Dallas and Colorado are going to do something at the trade line to try to beef up their team to go on that long playoff run. And we all know Billy Guerin is a willing partner, guy that's could make some trades as well too. So he's going to have his hands in there, and so we'll see. I still think I would love to see the Wild pick up one more centerman. I don't know what it's going to cost. There's been some talk about, our obviously our greatest asset that everybody knows is Jesper Wallstad.
Right.
If you give up Jesper Wallstad, and you better be getting a centerman that is young and someone that's got a 5, 6, 7 year deal. You would never give up Jesper for a rental for a year or two. I think the risk is too big there, and so you're looking at that number one centerman. If there's somebody out there that you could potentially find to take the Wild maybe to another level. And this doesn't mean that if there's no trades that happen at all, Nordo, that I don't think that we can beat Dallas or Colorado, because I do. I think we could beat them right now in a 7-game series. Obviously with the goaltending that the Wild have, but I don't know. The one intriguing name out there is for me is Robert Thomas, as a centerman out there in St. Louis. He's a very gifted centerman. He's 26 years old. I was just looking at his face-off numbers. He's played 8 years in the league, and the last 4 years, his face-off numbers, he was in the mid-40s his first 4 years, and now he's in the mid-50s the last 4 years. So he's figured out something in the face-off dot. He's right-handed, as we were talking about a little earlier. So doing a little bit more of a deep dive on him, he might be somebody that I would potentially be willing. I don't know if the St. Louis Blues are in the market for a good young goaltender, but I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. There's a lot of pressure on Billy Garrett for sure right now to get something done, but you also want to try to be as patient as you can. So it's not an easy situation to navigate if you're Billy Garrett.
You, my friend, are terrific. I'll call a good one on TV tonight. Tell the heir apparent. Tell Anthony LaPanta. 9 to noon says hello. May God bless you and your family, and I look forward to the next time I get to see you.
Yeah, sounds good, PA. See you, Nardo. See you, boys.
Yeah, I appreciate you. That's the captain. Wes Walz joining 9 to noon. Good morning, everybody. That was quite the long segment. In fact, so long, we're going to dub it a marathon, courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. If things are hot for you, for whatever the reason, and you're looking to cool down certain items, well, there's a KitchenAid stainless steel print-free French door refrigerator awaiting you right now. Woo. At Steve's Appliances in Mounds View, 7,000 square foot showroom. I'll stop by and say hello to the staff, the kind and loving staff. And for the purpose of you getting this KitchenAid stainless steel print-free French door refrigerator, you can go to stevesappliances.com and click on Shop Deals, and you'll learn you can save $1,900, nearly $2,000 in savings.
Wow.
On this KitchenAid stainless steel French door refrigerator.
Shop Deals.
stevesappliances.com. They provide us with the marathon segments. KFAN Sports Talk time is 10:28 for 4 more seconds. KFAN Money Giving time is 10:29.
The Fan wants to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword gold. The keyword is gold. You might win some money. just by entering the keyword GOLD at KFAN.com.
Into the second half of the Monday presentation. It's Paul Allen with Nordo by my side. Old school is best school. One of the very first guests in the history of this radio show is big-time NFL reporter and news breaker Adam Caplan. He's also an elite fantasy football mind. And Adam joins us now. Adam, Paul Allen, Nordo here. What's going on with you, my brother?
Looking forward to flying to San Francisco tomorrow for my work on Radio Row, and looking forward to a good game. And then, of course, we had the news by your way, which was kind of interesting and surprising, to be honest with you.
Why?
The timing. We're talking about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and the Vikings letting him go. These are almost always done within 3 to 5 days after season's over. You could do it after the draft, which is rare. John Dorsey, the former Chiefs GM, was actually fired in June one year. But typically, if you're going to fire a general manager, you do it very quickly after the season's over. The fact that they're doing this now, and I understand, they have the organizational meetings, and they gather more information. But again, not only is it the timing a little odd because it's so far past when their season ended, then you've got the fact that they gave him an extension last year. It's definitely a strange situation.
How well do you know Minnesota Vikings Executive Vice President of Operations, Rob Brzezinski, who's been with the organization nearly 30 years, I think 3.5 decades total in the National Football League. And I shared this earlier. It's like, Rob's going to be the acting GM through the draft. No idea what happens after that. But with Brzezinski, he's never going to bang his fist on the Formica and say, I am a film grinding guy who cut my teeth as a regional scout for X amount of decades around the NFL. However, he's a connector. And, Kevin O'Connell, no matter the level of say he has within this organization, Kevin wants to win so badly and takes so much on his own that having a connector, a person who's a connector, connects people together and helps behind the scenes with somebody like O'Connell, alleviating pressure and taking some load off of him. That's a key role, not only in life but in football. Don't you agree?
Yeah. So Brzezinski, you have to remember, Rick Spielman brought him in, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, Rob was with Rick in Miami, and Rob, not only is he one of the better contract negotiators in the league, he's good at explaining things and getting people. They've had to do some complex contracts over years, talking to agents. He's really good. You're right with the connection part of it, and he'll be smart enough to rely on whether it's Ryan Monins, Ryan Grigson, Sam DeLuca, who came in from Cleveland. Sam's dad, Peter, is actually the Eagles, one of the team doctors, believe it or not, which is interesting. Pat Roberts has been there forever. They've got a really good staff here to rely on. I got it. One thing that I also want to mention, I'm very surprised they went to Rob over Grigson or those other guys to run the draft. Just odd. No, you're right. Rob's smart enough. He's been around long enough. He's not going. He's going to rely on these guys to run the show. I'm just kind of because I wasn't at that press conference, I don't have access to what Mark Wilf and the Wilfs were thinking. The bottom line is Grigson and that group, they've got to run the draft. I mean, it's just Rob's, this is not his bag, so to speak.
Right, and really nobody does. I mean, there's a lot of guessing and speculating, from what I understand, that's taking place as to exactly why Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah was relieved of his duties at this time of the equation. The timing absolutely is peculiar. However, with Rob's brilliant, and I don't know how much say he's going to have in the picks with this draft and everything, but you know better than anybody because you've covered it for so long that drafts and free agency, it's never just one person. However, if you whiff on Lewisine and you hit on Grenard and Van Ginkel, the general manager is always the first person mentioned there. So just to paraphrase what I know, team president Mark Wilf said, is it's not just one, it's not a singular thing that led to this, but after they had those leadership type meetings, this is what happened, man. Now they got to move on.
One thing I'll add to what you just said about Mark Wilf and the Wilfs is that these organizational meetings, my sense is they got wind of some issues within the personnel department late, and they felt they had to act on it, despite giving them an extension last year. It doesn't look good for them. They should have known about this stuff, but honestly, they're not football people, and it's despite them being in the league for obviously a long time. They've been owners. They don't have a football background, so it's hard to know about these relationships. I could tell you about a couple clubs that had major issues during COVID because they were not. Everything was disrupted, and guys were not on the same page. That could be a tough thing, but this one's different, where there were just some relationship issues. And I know there's a story from The Athletic, which is kind of interesting. The one I thought strong note was that Kwesi was away from paternity leave for 2 weeks. Typically, if you're going to take it, it's a couple days away. And I know you could have meetings through Zoom, but that is atypical. That is definitely not typical of the way things go in the National Football League.
Okay, so with the right to change this opinion, because here we are early February, Combine hasn't even happened. But like, if you were to cast your gaze the way of somebody outside of this organization potentially becoming a new general manager, are there hot names out there?
Yes.
Like who's the new Brett Veach, Howie Roseman, so to speak?
I got one. Mike Bradway, who's the son of Terry Bradway, former Jets GM. Mike has been with Kansas City. Brett Veach brought him to Kansas City. Bradway just interviewed for the Falcons general manager job. That was an interesting search because all four of them had Philly ties. The finalists for the GM job's kind of really odd. And Matt Ryan, who grew up in Exton, PA, of course, is the overseer. But the guys I would say, here are your guys. Here are the GM candidates. Amy Weidel, who interviewed for the Falcons, he's assistant GM with Pittsburgh. He is Omar Khan's right-hand man with personnel there. Just going across here, guys that would make a lot of sense. Lance Newmark, who's assistant general manager for the Commanders, who was with the Lions and part of their turnaround. He's really, really good. Honestly, we could go through a ton of them. We'll do this more as we get closer.
Yeah.
Mike Beal, who's a personnel director for the Buccaneers, who's really, really good. There are a lot of guys out there that deserve a shot. Bradway, for some reason, I think this might have been his first interview, you just mentioned Brett Veach. Not that Veach should get a lot of credit, but when you work on a team where the general manager is really, really going to gets a lot of the credit, a lot of people don't know who you are, and that's just what happened with Mike, but I'm glad that he got an interview. Ed Dodds, by the way, who's Chris Ballard's right-hand man with the Colts, he's really smart. It came from the Seattle system. Literally, you could come up with 15 of these guys. There are a lot of them out there.
Who do you fancy in the Super Bowl and why?
All right, my heart is with the Patriots. For the people I know, the Patriots. With my head tells me that line should have been 4.5 or 5. Now, depending which sports book you look at, that's what it is. But Seattle's clearly the better team, I understand the knocks on New England's record. I totally get that, but their story has been ridiculous. I never saw this. I thought 8 or 9 wins would maximize their potential with the roster that they have. But Mike Vrabel and the job that he's done here, and one Patriot source told me that this is an interesting story. I'll give you a Cliff Notes version in 30 seconds. Vrabel was a certain way. He's always going to be intense. But, he had the year off, but he was consulting for the Browns as a coaching consultant. For whatever happened during his time away, he's connecting way better. It's not just with the players. So sometimes he has meetings with coaches, one-on-one, just to talk about life, anything outside football where they don't talk football. Like he never did that from what I understand in Tennessee. So you talked about connecting earlier. That's really incredible. And there's no way you could play at this level that they're playing at without getting a total buy-in. The total buy-in from their players. And I cannot believe, Paul, for a first season, think about what they're trying to do here. They're trying to set an NFL record for going literally going undefeated on the road through the Super Bowl. That's never been done before. I can't believe this. I never saw this. It's really a remarkable story.
You, my friend, are terrific. Love you. Safe travels to the West Coast, and perhaps maybe I'll see you at the Combine. All right.
Oh, That will definitely happen. All right, talk to you then, man. Thanks.
Thank you, bud. Adam Caplan, NFL reporter. KFAN Sports Talk time is 10:43. Good morning.
Fan.
Welcome back. It's 9 to noon, and it's News du Nord. News du Nord is always brought to you by The Casino. It's not a casino. It is The Casino at Canterbury Park. CanterburyPark.com. Event details. Poker, blackjack, table games. You're feeling the felt all year long. You're having sips at chips, and depending upon the schedule, either you're tipping Derek Allen or one of the many unbelievable employees at Canterbury. You're having a blast. We're all waiting for live racing. CanterburyPark.com. Now, we started the show, and it's really going to dominate. We got Parker Fox in studio. We'll get more conversation as to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah being relieved of his duties last week, and we heard from Mark Wilf. Now, other kind of in short order, PA, we heard kind of some additions. So, wow, holy cats on the timing with Kwesi, but then, oh, hey, former Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smith is now the assistant head coach. We heard about that. Kind of looks like a background in O-line and run game festivities. So Frank Smith, now the assistant head coach in purple. Former Steelers defensive backs coach Gerald Alexander, he's now our DB coach and pass game coordinator, I believe, as well. Career in D-backs. And with Durante Jones going to the Commanders, that was a vacancy that is no longer a vacancy. Additionally, former Atlanta and Jacksonville defensive coordinator. Most recently, he was the Bills defensive assistant. His name's Ryan Nielsen.
Yeah.
He's the new D-line coach / defensive run game coordinator. So a few new faces into the mix. And then, assistant O-line coach Keith Carter was indeed promoted to fill the spot vacated by Chris Cooper. So we heard about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah being fired on Friday. But then right after that, boom, I mean, just a furious amount of reporting in terms of not just Kwesi, but new things happening with the team. We have 4 coaching vacancies effectively filled as part of this.
Nielsen, at one point, is senior defensive assistant for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
I think he and O'Connell have ties. I think they were together somewhere. I could be wrong with that. And if I am, I apologize. But nevertheless, got to know Keith Carter quite well last year. His first year with the team. Like him a lot and wish him well. Not super familiar with the other hires. Eventually, the hope is I will be. And you know, another thing, maybe you got this in there. Don't want to step on your touchdown call. But speaking of Vikings coaches or former Vikings coaches, the former offensive coordinator here, Clint Kubiak, is probably going to become the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think probably is going to happen.
It's going to happen. And Clint Kubiak was and is forever a friend of this radio shows and would do a fair amount of stuff with us when we were at the Vikings facility. And the ascension of that young man from his time in New Orleans through now coordinating the offense for what could be the soon-to-be Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. I just find myself very, very happy for Clint Kubiak because it causes me to hearken to, a handful of years ago, maybe a little more, and some of the chiding and some of the criticism that he would take was it was ill-founded.
Yeah, it was the 2021 season. So and that was in the age of, okay, so I mean, we're going way back. Norv, we got Gary, stories from the lap of Uncle Gary. Mm-hmm. It's Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
Well, we'll think about it. At any rate, Clint comes in 2021. We're fresh off of negative friends and family affairs during the COVID year 2020. But you look statistically, you got to dig into it. It's a non-playoff year. And, of course, there's more news that I can get to you with you this morning, of course.
What happened? Mannion's back in. Passes over the middle. Incomplete. How about that?
The Microsoft Surface bit worked out. He's the OC for Philly now.
Yeah.
But with Clint, you could look into first down metrics. I've seen this broken down quite a bit, actually. But if you look into kind of the meat on the bone of Clint Kubiak's offense, he's big on first down, the ability to mix and match, pass scenarios with getting production on the ground. he's done terrific work in Seattle. And so all the best to him and such a cool opportunity. We used to talk about Clint. Wasn't he a Colorado State kid?
Yeah.
And didn't he either pick off? Did he pick off Case Keenum
with Houston?
That's right.
Back left of the end zone.
So
42-inch vertical.
So from all those bits to, we know he's Gary's kid, but can he ultimately find the same success as his dad did from a coaching standpoint?
Right.
Big ups to Clint for finding his way there. So changes in the air on many fronts.
Well,
our coaching staff and others.
With Clint and the quarterbacks coach for Seattle, who also used to be here, Andrew Janocko. All right, so those two are favored to hoist the Lombardi.
Wow.
But with Clint, it plays into something that I was saving nearest the end of the show. But may do it again then. It's FIDA. It's FIDA, F-I-D-A. FIDA and Covenant Culpability. FIDA and the Covenant Culpability Act, because it's important to point out when I or we are terribly wrong. FIDA, Fairness and Sam Darnold Act.
Ooh.
Major whiff unless he totally throws away the Super Bowl. And for sure looks like a player who was worthy of a new 3-year deal from here, there, or anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be loud guy and be like, well, I never will forget week 18 at the end of the 2024 season.
How can you?
Never forget it professionally as long as I live. So we are not only in the one-liner business, we're in the opinion formulating business when it involves sports. And the opinion had been formulated here by yours truly and quite loudly several times. I don't believe that man has what it takes to push through pressure. FIDA, Fairness and Darnold Act. I was wrong. He pushed through that pressure, and the man guiding him, Clint Kubiak, is going to benefit from it, becoming a head coach of a National Football League team. So that's a tidal wave of things that transpired right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's for the good of them. And fight it for me. Fairness and Darnold Act. Bad take. Very bad take.
Man, now that you... So... Taking a step back from Darnold, still thinking about Clint and some others, Janocko. How about Drew Petzing? Now we got to deal with that.
Yes.
How are we going to do? Now he's the Kitties offensive coordinator.
Yes.
And what was he a Newberry guy? Was he Yale?
Middlebury. Never forget it.
Newberry, Middlebury, it's all the same. Well, Middlebury about to be trying to take advantage of the middle of the field against Flores' defense.
Newberry sounds like some ballyhooed, newfangled junior college in the middle of... I mean, Drew's super smart. Super, super smart.
Yeah. So, all kinds of... I guess, would he be a Zimmer-era coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clint, connected to Gary.
Yep. Connected to Kevin. I mean...
There you go.
Yeah, Zimmer was the coach. I believe Norv was the offensive coordinator. And then you get you end up... When Gary Kubiak started hanging out around here, I think it might have been 2018, 2019 maybe. And we're doing the training camp show from the exclusive Vikings Audio Network perch, overlooking at that time, which were 5 perfectly manicured practice fields, one of them being the Mike Hughes, one of them being a field they just didn't use that much, and there were like players running on it, and we didn't really understand what was happening. Very positive for those players. Very positive. They were taking positive steps forward, clearly from turmoil they had encountered, physically speaking. God bless all of them. But Gary came in, and we're on the perch, and we're watching this zone read, zone concept thing, and like Bradbury out there, 5-10 yards down the field, just mashing on man, and Dalvin just looking all smooth and everything. Ooh. And looked at each other, and I'm like, that's beautiful and everything, but when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and you got to move Kenny Clark or Akeem Hicks, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't casting an aspersion by any stretch. It was wonderment of 2 people who still see sports through the eyes of children. We knew it would happen.
We did.
We knew it would be good. We knew there would be a way out of it. We just didn't know how. But good luck to Clint Kubiak.
We had Wes Walz on the show, just kind of putting a wrap and a pause in 9 to noon, because I know we're going to be talking a lot more about the Wolves next segment with our 11 a.m. guest. But you got the Wolves tonight, kind of the second of 2 straight against the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis, they can put some buckets out there, man. Despite being awful, John Morant with the elbow. I mean, what a year for him. Just kind of a disastrous operation, but they make you earn it a little bit against them with a couple of guys you've never heard of.
A lot.
Having to fill out a lot of guys you've never heard of, trying to fill out a roster.
Oh, that was it.
But
the other night, dude.
Yeah, no, it was ugly. But still, I mean, you're giving up $115 to that crew, trying to figure out Ty Jerome. That's right. I haven't seen him since college, but okay, that's right. He has a right to exist in the league. That's great.
Cam Spencer, who knew?
No,
who knows who he? I mean, everybody knows who he is because he's just very good at what he does.
Yeah, Contavious Caldwell-Pope off the bench. I mean, it's not the way they drew it up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you got Wolves, of course, and hoping to have Coach Finch on this week, and then the Wild and Montreal this evening.
Edwards and Julius, I think, are both questionable into this game.
Yeah, this toe thing, dude.
Yeah, how's it been with Anthony? Is he questionable every game, and then maybe he of 5? In question, game time decision, check the shoot around, all that. But he plays 4 or 5.
Yeah, he plays most of the ones he's questionable. But I will say this, props to Wolves PR and just how they've been handling it. It's not lingering into the 11th hour. And most of the games he's missed, someone can tell me if I'm wrong, it has been day in advance where they're at that off day practice or shoot around or whatnot. And it's Ant ain't playing. So it hasn't been really a surprising or shocking thing. But the questionable, I'd anticipate he plays tonight.
I
have no idea, I guess. Yes.
You know who we missed today?
Who's that?
Your guy. The Eric. The Grizzlies Vox.
Yeah, Hasseltine.
Yeah, Hasseltine. How do we forget about him? All those names.
Oh, got a lot going on upstairs. But that's News to Nord, brought to you by V Casino at Canterbury Park.
KFAN Sports Talk time is 11 o'clock.